Hello everyone, this is Commander Megan and welcome to my channel and another Warhammer community, Warhammer 40,000, the new edition, 9th edition, article, taking command of your points. Warhammer 40k, the new edition. Anyone who's played a game of Warhammer 40,000 with the Battleforged army will know how awesome it is to have loads of command points to spend. In fact, for many players, much of their army building process has been geared towards ensuring they would have as many at their disposal as possible, and preferably a way to replenish command points during the battle too. Well, the good news is that you're about to get more command points, so read on and find out all about it. The asterisk points out to the loyal 32. Basically being 3 cheap squads of guardsmen, 10 each, and 2 cheap commanders. One of the cheapest way to get the extra command points and even the generation, because guards have a few ways to generate command points. I must point out that it's interesting to see that they still show the Land Raider and the old Terminators alongside all of the new Primaris range. Most of them are Primaris, and I am fairly sure there are no Firstborn Marines unless they're in the far background, but I think those are just intercessors as well. But that is a discussion for something else. All is fair in love and Warhammer 40,000. You don't just get more command points in the new edition. You don't just get more command points in the new edition. Both players will also receive the same amount according to the size of the game. After all, the larger the army a warlord leads, the more strategic assets will be at their disposal. Combat Patrol 500 points, Incursion up to 1000, Strike Force up to 2000, Onslaught up to 3000. Each have their own command points, respectively 3, 6, 12, 18. This is a real nice way of scaling things. If you ever plan on doing more than 3000 points, for example 3.5, you will be having 21. If you will be doing 4000, you will be having 24, and that way you can extrapolate how many you will need. And that is interesting. It doesn't matter how you work with attachments, it more works how you play the game. Sure, taking the attachments is how you play the game, but this is more a general way instead of just taking the attachments. It's now more important how many points you play and how you build your army instead of I need to take this, I need to take that. The double asterisk is to the total power level, and which in this case is for both you and your opponent combined. Which is a little bit confusing because the point limit is per army. So, not sure what their intention with that was. With both players having the same number of command points, they will be on an even footing when it comes to the number of stratagems they can employ. As the army's commander, the onus is on you to see if you can use them to gain advantage over your opponent in battle. I like the last part of it. I do not completely agree with the first part of it, because not every army has the same amount of useful stratagems. Sure, some are depending on which units you take, but there is still, I think if for most armies you can take out a page of command stratagems and they still have the same amount of useful stratagems, and then still some have a little bit more. Many stratagems are so very situational depending on your opponent and the units you have that I do not say each have the same amount of stratagems they can an even footing. It's not a real even footing. On the other hand, some have more powerful that cost more. In that regard, it is an even footing because you have the same amount of command points. For example, Custodes, who used to struggle with command points and have quite some expensive stratagems, can now more easily employ their stratagems as, let's say, the guard. So in that case, it is kind of an even footing. Mustering your army. So if you don't earn command points by taking additional attachments, do they still interact with each other in a way? The answer is yes, but how they do so has been turned on its head. Instead of earning you command points, each attachment you take will instead cost you command points. However, it's worth noting that command points spent on a core detachment, patrol, battalion or brigade, are refunded if they also include your warlord. So your first attachment is usually free. An army drawn exclusively from the same faction an army drawn exclusively from the same faction and comprising a single detachment is the most strategically flexible on account of their experience fighting alongside one another. Therefore, offers the most command points. More on that a little bit later. But it is an interesting way to say one detachment is better than having multiple ones. Basically. Here, let's take a look at the workers of many Battleforge armies, the battalion detachment. Cost you 3 command points. As restrictions, all units must be from the same faction. These detachments cannot include any understrength units. Command benefits, plus 3 command points if your warlord is part of this detachment. Dedicated transports can include 1 for each infantry units taken. It's still about the same: 2 to 3 HQ, 3 to 6 troops, 0 to 6 elites, 0 to 3 fast attack, heavy support, flyers. 2 flyers, 3 heavy support. It's really important to note that they now have included the understrength units. It was basically also an 8th edition that you could only take understrength units in an auxiliary one. Right, but that was more an FAQ later on. Dedicated transport can include 1 for each infantry, meaning you can no longer take a dreadnought or a land raider and get them a dedicated transport for it. You need an infantry unit for it. This is an important difference. Not that I've seen it being misused really, but it is an important difference that can make a difference for some. Battalion detachment will cost 3 command points, but speculation from my part, and not only for me, is that different detachments will have a different command cost attributed to them. My speculation is that a patrol detachment will be 1 and the brigade will be 5. I also have a side speculation that the brigade will have an additional command benefit because you will be needing more mandatory units, so it will be less flexible. Sure, when you go for a brigade, you will be more likely be able to use those units anyway, but still, I think that can garner an extra command benefit. I'm not saying it will have, but it is possible. Just speculation. You're the boss. This concept was heavily inspired by your narrative and enables you to manage your army selection in the manner of a real commander. You can either maximize your command points with a single attachment or draw upon powerful assets and summon allies to your cause by using command points to unlock additional detachments. I I like this actually, because in 8th edition, you know what, I take Eldar and Harlequins and Dark Eldar all together, so I got a lot of allies, so I have bonus command points, and I'm gonna play against Custodes, an elite army, and I can do whatever I want, and the Custodes is on the back footing while being a single monodex army. With this, it turns out a bit around in a positive manner. But there's more. Not only do you start the battle with more command points, but in each of your command phases, the new opening phase of your turn, you will receive an additional command point. This is really interesting. Some armies will now start with. However, they will now get one in each command phase, in their command phases, meaning basically on the course of the battle, those who had around 18 command points for 2000 points will be around the same, if not more. Commanders gauge the flow of battle, consolidating their objectives before making alterations to the battle plans and devising new tactics and strategies with which to defeat their foe. If your army is battle forged, that's the point, then at the start of your command phase, before doing anything else, you gain 1 command point. This is called the Battle Forge CP bonus. Some abilities found on a data sheet and some stratagems are used in your command phase. In addition, some missions have rules that take place in the command phase. Once you and your opponent have resolved all these rules, if any, progress to your movement phase. I have a little speculation about this, that all the strategies that must be done at the start of your movement phase might be done here. Speculation. We will be seeing new command abilities and stratagems, probably one of the few new ones in the score, that will also affect here. But that's also depending on how the new codices will come out. Sure, the current codex are still valid, but it's still GW, so new codices will come out anyway. Getting an additional command point every turn ensures that even in late game you can still rely on having a number of crucial stratagems at your disposal. It is a nice way of spreading it out. However, if you want them at the beginning of your turn to make the difference, you will now have to wait later. So, if this is better or worse, that is situational. It's equal. More stratagems for everyone. With all these command points flying around the place, you're going to want to have some stratagems to spend them on, right? Thankfully, the core stratagems available to every army have been increased to 7. You manage to fight your way across the battlefield only for your enemies to flee like cowards before the fury of your chain blades. Cut them down as they withdraw with this handy and aptly named stratagem. Cut them down. Use a stratagem when an enemy unit falls back. Before any models in the unit are moved, roll 1d6 for each model from your army that is within engagement range of that enemy unit. For each result of 6, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Engagement range is, I think, a new wording. I think that will be around 1 to 3 inches, basically the way we play combat right now. And this can be really powerful. More on that a little bit later. Roll 1d6 for each model from your army that's within engagement range. Depending on how large that range is, that also means units that previously were not able to strike in combat are now able to benefit. It's not just the unit, just need to be in engagement range of that enemy unit. That's an interesting wording. and 1 mortal wound for each d6. That will certainly hurt if activated on a unit of 30 orc boys. Yes, that will hurt. 30 orc boys, that means, well, give or take 5 6s at average. If they can all roll, of course. That if I'm gonna play with for let's say Harlequins, that means my small squad that's going to disengage to strike again will be killed outright. Ouch. And that's for 1 CP. That's good for horde armies, because with now that tanks can fire into the combat they are in, horde armies will be hurt. With this, they can strike back. The focus is shifting, but that's okay. That's not a bad thing. Right, join us again tomorrow. Well, for the community website, it will be today. And leave your comments on the Warhammer 40,000 Facebook page. I also ask, leave your comments down below here. That was it for now for this video. Hope you're all well. And see you all